Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up we have Peter Kerr speaking in favor with Wisconsin Fathers for Children and Families.
Thank you, Representative Grigsby and other committee members, for listening to me speak on this bill. My name's Peter Kerr, and I'm speaking on behalf of Wisconsin Fathers for Children and Families. I like this bill. It's simple, it's clear, and it's direct. Now, to me, a $200 tax credit, since I'm married, would translate to about $50 in my pocket, and that would go straight to Santa Claus. And Santa Claus would put more presents around the tree for our family to have fun with. Now, you've got to look at those smiles around Christmas time and decide whether that's priceless or whether accounting should get in the way of that. So, this bill clearly supports families, which is what Wisconsin Fathers who support children and families is. Families are the best place to raise children, and enabling more smiles and less stress in a family is a good thing. The sole custody state of Louisiana has the distinction of being the highest divorce state in America, if not the world, probably. In Australia in 2006, the Equal Shared Parenting Responsibility Act was written into law. And only last week, a study of 28,000 people by the Australian Institute of Family Studies reported a drop of 22% in family law cases going to court. We need laws that support the family. It is a fundamental building block of safe communities and a strong country. At the 2007 Democratic Convention, I was happy to hear quite often, in fact, I believe it was the motto at that convention. So it's please, sorry, let me read that again. This is 3 o'clock this morning, I apologise for reading this out. And that's why we support the family, my argument with Word this morning at that ungodly hour. Anyway, at the 2007 Democratic Convention, I was happy to hear quite often the fact, and I believe it was the motto, that families are first. So it's good that this bipartisan issue is stepping up and saying, let's treat marriages as the foundation and building block, and let's put $200 credit on the tax return so that $50, translation into $50, can go and put smiles on our families' faces and make it easier for the people that are out there today. Now, tomorrow I meet with Terence Ray in the Milwaukee Fatherhood Initiative to look at the position of chairperson for Planning, Research and Legislative Committee. Now, this is exactly the type of bill that we'll use with that group to teach the people of Milwaukee, the fathers and the mothers and the families that come to those sessions, of just how the legislature works together to help families in the troubling times in Wisconsin at the moment. So on behalf of Wisconsin Fathers for Children and Families, I support this bill, and I hope that that $200 tax credit can come through to make some of those smiles on those families' faces priceless. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Where are you based?
It's a Madison-based statewide organisation. So we have members all over the state. I'd like to ask myself a question. Sorry about this. But, you know, one of the things that we do, and one of the things that this country offers everyone, is the freedom of choice. And I think it's an absolutely wonderful thing that happens. Now, our choices aren't always right, and they aren't always good. You know, I made a choice to travel 12,000 miles to be the father of my child over here. I took a hit that was more than $200 in a tax credit. So, you know, a lot of times the questions I hear that are put around either legislative hearings or even the parent-teacher group that I belong to, you've got to go back and say, well, you know, what choices are you making? Now, I think that, you know, the $200 is a good thing, and I think if people choose to be married and stay married, then that's what we ought to support. And sometimes I think we put the cart before the horse a little way and we say, how can we make this work for people that fundamentally haven't chosen correctly in the first place? You know, single mothers, single fathers, children in difficult positions. yes, there already is huge infrastructure in welfare to make that happen. You know, there are people that choose marriage because it's a good place to raise children. And I think that, you know, this $200 tax credit is helping those people that are making the good choices for the benefit of their family and children. So, you know, I think we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that choosing marriage is a good thing. Choosing not marriage, well, it's your own choice. But in choosing marriage, we need to support that. It's a good place for children to grow up. I answered my question. Sorry.
Do you know Crocodile Dundee?
My brother? He's now called Lefty.
I had to throw that one in there.
I know. So, yes, I can tell you all the truths and all the falsities in that movie as well.
Other questions? Thank you very much for your testimony.
It's an interesting position for Wisconsin Fathers Association. It's Wisconsin Fathers
For Children and Families.
For Children and Families. Because there's nothing about that organization that suggests that those fathers are married, right?
Correct.
But so you're taking a position based on just what you think is best for families.
Correct.
In Wisconsin. That's refreshing.
You know, it's an interesting journey, and you know, my divorce happened in 2002. I've got the longest court record in Washington County, which is a bit sad. But you know, I've remarried, and my daughter's doing wonderfully well in the type of families that we have now. But you know, that only comes through compassion and forgiveness. You know, I don't think we can avoid admitting that there's various stages that you go through in a relationship breakup. It's very emotional. You know, there are times when you are confused, times when you're shocked, and there's times when you're angry, and then there's times when you're forgiving. And you do come out of the end of it. And I think that, you know, families, whichever way, shape or form they are, is the best and the safest place. And I think as role models, as both mums and dads, either intact or separated, you know, we are their example setters. We set the example of either good behaviour or bad behaviour. I think that one of the difficulties kids have these days, and sorry for taking up a little bit, is that in an intact family, you do have mum and dads that disagree about things. But they talk about it and they come together and they present one situation to the children. And the children can't argue about it, it's just what they're presented. The difficulty with kids today is when you've got separated parents, you've got two different points of views. And each parent is going to put their point of view onto the child, and unfortunately it becomes the child's job to decide which one of those is the right path to follow. In married relationships, you have mum and dad that maybe they disagree on issues, how much sport you do, whether you do clarinet or guitar, but at least when they make that adult decision on behalf of their children, they present one view to those children, and that's the path the children follow. You know, marriage is so important in the way that parents and grown-ups, if you're remarried, actually present good examples to the kids to follow. You know, I think marriage is a wonderful institution, although there's many jokes about institutions. But it teaches love and respect between men and women, even in step-parent, remarried situations. You're giving the kids the example of how you treat another person with love and respect, and that's the lessons they need to learn when they grow up to have their own relationships. Having marriages is a wonderful place for children to be, and I think any small steps like this that help that happen goes a long way towards strengthening our communities and making this country strong. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that concludes the testimony for AB 359. Also registering in favor is Senator Lena Taylor.